Yo, what is good, family? Hope you all are having an amazing day. In today's video, we're gonna break down the setup from Bitcoin USDT this last Friday, and I wanna tap into how to use the strategy when we have news rolling. This last Friday, we had Mr. Powell speaking, and it was exactly at 4 p.m. Madrid time, which is, as you can obviously assume, this massive candle. But you can still use this strategy on days where you have red folders and at the same time have nothing to do with it. Some days with this strategy on red folders, you will somehow get involved in them, but a lot of days you will not have to do that. So today's video is how to roll with this strategy on red folders days. So first of all, we're gonna replay back to the open of the session, and on the days when I have these type of red folders, or for example, let's say I'm trading EURUSD on the London Open, and we have this type of CPI, French PMI, flash manufacturing PMI, these type of days when we have like 5-6 red folders in a row with the EURUSD, which are massive. Perhaps it's once a month, but those days come. I just put a vertical line. So that's the first thing I do. I put the vertical line at 4 p.m. is the new. Let me zoom in. But I move the line 5 minutes before. All right. And I also set an alert. So when the market gets 5 minutes before the open of the session, my alert gets hit. Obviously right now the alert is not placed because this is the replay mode, but you can do this. I also put an alert on the phone, all right, at 3:55 in this case, so I get notified by the alarm in my phone and on the laptop on TradingView, and also on the phone through TradingView. I want to get notified because a lot of times I get busy, I completely forget, and if you're only doing trading, perhaps it's more difficult for you to get distracted. But it's always better to get notified through a lot of sources. Now, the way to analyze this is literally the same as always. So let's break it down. We have the first question: where are we coming from? Bearish movement. We mark it up: low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Obviously this candle gives us the low and the high because the bullish candle first creates the low, then creates the high. A lot of you guys say, oh Charlie, but right here I have one impulse, two impulses. Right here I can get the root of the third impulse if this was the open. No, that's completely wrong, because you're looking just as at the portion of the price action that you want to look at, but in reality you're coming through all of this. Obviously for the open of the New York session, you're not gonna mark this up, all of this, right? You're only going to mark up the last portion of the price. Fantastic, but you don't have to go through all the rest of the structure, right? But at the same time, you cannot say, oh, this is the root of the third impulse, I'm going to sell here. It doesn't make any sense, because you have to have less than 3 impulses on the whole structure, not only on the portion of the price that you're looking at. All right, that's super key, because I don't know why that's a very common mistake in a lot of you guys when you hit my DMs with trades that you took, which if you were thinking about it, you can do that. Obviously you can hit me up to my DMs on Instagram and say, hey Charlie, I'm following your videos on YouTube and I took this trade, how do you see that? All right, we can do some kind of follow-up, take advantage of that. But yeah, basically that's the structure, how we were having the trend at the time of the open. Obviously right here we have a bullish break of a structure which happens at 1:45, therefore we don't have any type of bullish BOS at the time of the open. So now we have the open, and we have to say, all right, let's mark up the last high, let's mark up the last low. This is a lower low. We already saw we have more than 3 impulses, so this is not a valid short. And this is a higher high, but this is not a second higher high, this is a first higher high. Therefore there is no bullish root of the third impulse that is valid. Therefore we don't have any trade. All right, it's the open of the session. We don't have trades. Now, opening candle, boom. If somehow, like this scenario today, at the time of the open, you don't have any trade, you don't have to force any. It's not like, oh, I don't have a buy, I don't have a sell. Oh, I'm gonna randomly place my buy stop on the high, although it's not a second higher high. That's completely wrong. Also, you will have days when you don't have a trade at the open and you just have to wait a little bit more. We saw, I think it was this week or the last week, I don't really know, but we had a setup that didn't have a trade at the open. We had to actually wait like 40 minutes, 45 minutes until the market gave us something, because the ranges had to get smaller. And yeah, sometimes you will have to wait for all of that. It is what it is, all right? So keep it in mind, patience always pays, all right? In this case, now we have this bullish candle. We have to slowly analyze this. Let's go over it. We have a high, low, lower high, lower low. Fantastic. Now, what do we have? The last high is a lower high, which now gives us the option of entering on a bullish break-off structure. Now this low is a lower low, which will be a bearish rule of the third, but we have to verify if we have two impulses and two pullbacks. Right here we have first impulse, first pullback. Second impulse, second pullback with the same bullish candle. Therefore, we have the bearish rule of the third as a sell stop that is already set at the closing of this candle. And also this bullish break-off structure is set as a buy stop at the closing of this bullish candle also. Why? Obviously, for the bearish rule of the third, you wait for the closing candle, because you need to see if this candle fully closes bullish. Therefore, you understand all of this as a pullback. And for the bullish BOS, you have to wait for this bullish candle to close. So the same candle that makes the low is not making the BOS. Alright, if you didn't see the previous videos, you will not know what we are talking about. But you have the playlist to all the videos on the M5R method on the description of this video. Alright, that is the only way for you to say, oh, now I remember the details that Charlie explained on the previous videos. Right? Super important, guys, that you take notes of all of the things, because then they will replay again and again and again on the next days. Alright? It's super important. So now we have the buy stop, we have the sell stop. We move one more candle, and boom. The same candle melts all the way to the downside. Obviously, in live market, this doesn't look like this, alright? It's not only like 1 second and melts. It doesn't look like that. If we go to the 1 minute, you can see it goes, in quote unquote, a little bit more slower. But basically, on this candle, the idea activates. Fantastic. The bearish idea is active. Now, we remove this. And now we wait for the next candles to move, and in this case it was just 3 minutes. Alright, in 3 minutes the market hit the last exit. So this is fantastic. This is one perfect example of the market having a red folder on the New York session, but you, because you trade the New York open, you have the trade like at 207, the setup is closed at 209, and you don't really care about the news. Right, you don't really care about the news because you already had your setup. Look how much distance you have to the news. But now let's imagine that this is a different trade and it's the time of the news and we still have the setup open. Alright, this is 3:55, so let's move forward. Fantastic, so we're right here. Our alert gets hit on the trading view on the phone. Let's imagine we are still on a setup. Once I'm here, now I move this line to 359. Okay. When market gets to 359, okay, 359, exactly at the open of that candle, I close the setup. Okay, I don't really care where the price is. If it's super close to the exit, if it's super close to the invalidation, if it's exactly at the break even, all right, I don't really care about it. Okay, I just close it out, because sometimes we have a Powell speech, doesn't affect that much. On Friday, that was massive. Sometimes we have NFP, sometimes we have CPI, we have PMI. All right, we have a lot of red folders that are actually very impactful to the price. If you're just trading them with a trade that was opened before in the lower time frames, in my opinion, you're just gambling. A different thing is that you have a swing trade, and you're close to the exit. You have a good buffer until the stop level, and you take advantage of the news just in case they go in your favor to act as a catalyst of the price action. That's perfect. But when it comes to a 1 minute M5 trade that you opened before based on a different analysis, that's gambling. A different thing is that you say, oh, I go to the M5, based on my analysis, we have a bullish break of a structure, we are here, it looks perfect for the price to go up, I'm gonna open a trade on an account that I don't really care. And if it goes in my, against my direction, I don't really care because it's not my main account. Well, that can have some kind of sense. But having a trade that was open like 2 hours before based on a completely different analysis, open on your main account just to see where the news go, that's not smart. That's not smart. Okay? So you have smart ways to trade news, actually. Alright, but with the trade that you opened earlier, with a different strategy that you never backtested on news, on your main account, it's just a recipe for disaster. All right, so like I said, guys, that's the main way that I do for keeping the account safe for the unexpected volatility and unexpected direction for the news. Is the best way, believe me. And if you want to trade news, you can have a strategy specifically backtested for you to trade news. You can have a specific system and risk management system for you to trade news, but not randomly. All right, and honestly, if you have like less than 2 years in trading and you still don't have a profitable strategy, don't focus on news. Don't even look at the impact on news. Just don't even be inside of the red folders, because you have to put the focus where it has to be, otherwise you're gambling. Once you have your profitable system, once you have everything solid, once you are already profitable, you can say, all right, what ways can I do for me to take some kind of advantage over the red folders, over the news? Then you can think about it. But if you don't even have a profitable system, if you didn't even make consistent withdrawals from your account, why are you even focusing about red folders? That's the hard truth. So I hope the message is clear, guys. With this being said, just to remember you, on the description of the video there is also the link to my Instagram. Right there you can see the DMs and talk to me straight to the DMs and see if we have free private spots for the private group of students. And that's pretty much it. You will have access to the intensive course, to the live analysis sessions, to the app with all the market ideas. Yeah, direct access and follow up with myself. Alright guys, so with this being said, see you in the next videos. Let's get it.